Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What's going on, everybody? Good morning to you. Cheers to you. Cheers to you and your nice cup of coffee, whatever you're drinking this morning. Maybe you got a nice cup of tea. Happy Friday to everybody. Kind of a weird week for the channel. 1 week off of nothing to react to. It's different in the off season. It's different, certain times of the year where you expect it. But right before the playoffs, it's like, shut it down. Let's just play these games that don't mean anything. Now I've actually enjoyed the playing tournament. Thank you for being a part of the show. Hope everybody's enjoying the start of their day. We got a packed show today. Of course, game one of the NBA playoffs coming up tomorrow. Lakers and the Houston Rockets from Crypto.com Arena. I will be there. I'm looking forward to it. 5:30 tip-off. Not 100% sure what to expect, Lakers make this interesting. Well, the Rockets just kind of swarm. I kind of feel if I got to pick between the two, I think Lakers make it interesting more than Rockets just run away with it. But obviously, nobody's expecting the Lakers to win this series at this point, at least with the injuries, which will lead me right into my first topic, which is no pressure on the Los Angeles Lakers. So got our rundown right here that we're going to get into. No pressure on the Los Angeles Lakers. We don't really have crazy updates on Luka and AR. AR is at practice, taking shots and everything else. Luka's supposed to join the Lakers, but we got a couple of things on that front. Sammy Long, who will be throwing out a preview video a little bit later today, is going to be joining the show. So he's going to help break down game one. I want to get into a little bit more of the specifics here as we get into game one. Who should guard KD? How do we think the Rockets are going to guard LeBron? What do you do with Amen Thompson? How much are you going to see Jackson Hayes potentially against Şengün? So I think we get into kind of a little bit more of the X's and O's. We'll do a little bit of that. Luka's appeal. Him and Cade Cunningham they're going to get that. We mentioned it at the end of the show. I didn't really have too much time to talk about it. But they got to meet that 65 game threshold. They're both now. There's an exemption for them to meet it. Talk a little bit about the two playing games tonight, playing tourney, and then we got some NBA news. Got the weekend preview, and then we're going to call it a week. Solid week from everybody. All right, so let's we'll take a look at a few of the comments here before we get going. And, of course, always encourage everybody. Anytime you want to throw in a comment, throw it in. I'll do my best to try to get to them. Eric is like figuring out which ones I should look at, which ones I shouldn't. So if your comment's not coming through, just blame it on Eric. Like, I have nothing to do with it. I no longer have anything to do with it. I've removed myself from the process. Put your comments in, and we'll try to get to them. I think I'll say, and just, a quick plug, as we always do. Subscribe, share with a friend if you think somebody likes the content. The more people that we get that like the videos, the better chance we got of catching that algorithm from YouTube. So please keep that in mind. And then member show today at 10 a.m. If you're not a member and you want to consider being a member, $3 a month, great way to support the channel. And come join us at 10 a.m. We'll hang out. We'll shoot the you-know-what, and then we'll go from there. All right, let's take a look at a couple of these comments. Let's see what we got here. What are the people saying? That's it. That's all anybody want to know is, what are the people saying? What's your perspective on the NBA consistently changing the rules for Luka? Rescinded his 16 tech, now hit 65 game limit. What's the deal with all of that? Well, I don't know if you saw the schedule too. When the schedule came out, if it was up to the NBA, they'd make the Lakers Rockets schedule like a 1 month series. They'd be like, let's just do one game a week. They're praying for Luka to come back. Praying. You can only imagine how bad they want Luka to come back. Do I think there's some extra rules for Luka? No, I don't. I mean, I could see why you'd look at it that way. I thought him getting rescinded, that 16 tech. There was it became a public, personal, whatever the two were talking about. So I think the NBA looked at it like, all right, let's take this one back. The second one, he got it. It wasn't rescinded. This one, I don't think it's an argument. What's the argument? He played 64 games, missed 2 games for the birth of his child. Like, all right. Yeah, I get that one. That one's kind of an easy one. This isn't an injury thing or anything like that. Literally, it was a personal matter that, of course, was more important than an NBA basketball game. So I I don't have an issue with the Luke one. I like the 65 game threshold. I hope the NBA continues to hold on to that. But yeah. Okay, this one I think is when we're going to get on specific matchups and everything else. So Marcus Smart on Kevin Durant. Okay. All right, we got some good stuff right there. Lakers in 7. I have faith. Okay. All right. All right. I like that. I like that. Let's get the show started, and we'll start hitting on some of these topics. Okay. Thank you again for being here. Appreciate it. And 10 a.m. a member show today. All right. So really not pressure. What kind of pressure is on the Lakers this series? Like if you kind of just you sit back and you try to equate coming into this series, it's like, all right, well, who's got more pressure? The Rockets or the Lakers? Okay, of course it's the Rockets. Who's got more pressure, Ime Udoka or JJ Redick? Yeah, you can't be Ime Udoka and lose to the Lakers without Luka and Austin Reaves. Who's got more pressure, KD or LeBron? Nothing LeBron can do can further add to his resume. For KD, it's kind of like, hey, are you really going to lose to a team that's missing 2 of its better players and one of the top 3 players in the league? I don't think the Lakers really have a lot of pressure on them. Now, you could play that in a number of different ways, but I feel like when I start looking at some of the top storylines of this series, what pressure is really on the Los Angeles Lakers? I mean, somebody could say, oh, but Alan, it's the Lakers. And if they're not competing for a championship, then it's a failed season. Okay. I mean, you could say that every year. I would rather say what's realistic, what's not realistic. Are they moving in the right direction? Are they not moving in the right direction? I don't think I have and I grew up a Laker fan, so I understand that Laker mentality, but I like to be realistic with my expectations. And the expectations right now, if they had just Luka, I think they're getting through the Rockets. Not to say it wouldn't be a tough series, not that Houston can't take a couple of games. If they had Luka and AR, yeah, I think this is a 5-game series. I think the Lakers are kind of mowing right through the Houston Rockets. But the situation is a situation. I just don't feel like there's a lot of pressure that's on the Lakers. Now, how could that work to their advantage? And there's a couple of things that I want to read here, and then there's a clip here from Luke Kennard that I want to read as well. I'm going to read one thing here, and this is coming from the New York Times. I think this was actually coming from The Athletic. Zach Harper says that there's a lot of pressure on Houston to eliminate the Lakers early. Okay. Let me read this. With the Doncic and Reaves injuries, this series expectation has completely flipped. Even with the Rockets finishing the season strongly, I'm not sure how trustworthy they were and how seriously people were taking them against a healthy Lakers team. Now Houston almost needs to dispatch LA early just to stop people from finding more doubt with this squad. We saw those expert picks. I think I did it yesterday. And in those expert picks, every expert picked the Houston Rockets. The one thing I do like about this series is the Lakers literally have done nothing wrong. If they end up losing the series, it's not on them. It's just, getting injuries at the wrong time. But I think it could be beneficial that you don't have pressure. DeAndre Ayton doesn't have to be, Hakeem Olajuwon, even though they'd love to see him have a phenomenal performance, but nobody's going to really point the finger at him if the Lakers lost the series or point the finger at any one of these Laker players. What gives me a little bit of, hey, can this thing be interesting? I'm not 100% sold on the Houston Rockets, and I really haven't been for a couple of months now. And again, I sympathize with them a bit because without Fred VanVleet, they don't have what clearly they need to be an actual championship caliber team or be in that second tier, which I'm not even sure that's where the Rockets are. I look at kind of the situation for the Lakers, and I feel like they can play as loose as basketball at any time of the season. I think they could. There's a lot of margin for error in the sense that, like, there's not going to be any reporters and media outlets, and everybody's not going to be sitting here saying the Lakers are falling apart. No, they're going to say, yeah, the team obviously has its fair share of injuries. But for me, I think that, this quote that I read from Zach, everything's on the Rockets. If you're Houston, you can't even make this an interesting series against the Lakers. Like, I think that's some of the expectation that if this thing's tied 2 apiece through 4 games, I do not want to be Houston. I don't, because It's like the more confidence that the Lakers can build, the more realistic it could be that maybe another player comes back or, kind of start layering things on. We're going to see Luka back with the team on Fridays. That just give the team a boost of confidence. Reaves is out there shooting around. Nobody's expecting him to play. Like, they're still trying to make it a team atmosphere. They built this thing together, and unfortunately, we're not going to see what it looks like. So one of the things I'm looking forward to is, how does Houston respond to that? Do the Rockets look at all this pressure and is it, hey, this is nothing, we love it, and Amen Thompson and Şengün and these guys are just having a field day against the Lakers? Or, again, through 2 games, it's tied 1 apiece. It's 2-1, but Lakers are in a battle in that game 4 with 6 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. I think there will be some pressure on the Houston Rockets, and I think that's something to keep attention to. I'll play one clip here, Luke Kennard. So Luke Kennard at practice yesterday, he's talking a little bit about himself, but he's also talking about the squad in regards to pressure. Take a quick listen. Luke Kennard.
I don't feel much pressure going into this. Like, it's a thing where we still, we believe in what we have, and who we're going to start the series with out there. And I think everybody believes in that. And I think you have to have that belief throughout the entire time, no matter how this first game goes or the second game. I mean, it's a long series. That's why it can go to 7 games. And like I said, we believe in what we have. And yeah, I think, being maybe somewhat of an underdog with guys out, it kind of gives us this sense of freedom and to go out there and just play hard. And again, we're going to follow our preparation and the work that we've put in so far. But yeah, I think we're going into it believing that we have a chance.
All right, that's Luke Kennard right there. By the way, how the hell Lakers get Luke Kennard? What a great pickup. That's going to be a guy, once we get to the offseason, I'll probably be pushing hard of he's a no-brainer. You got to bring him back. So Luke Kennard talking about how, from a pressure perspective, hey, it is on the other side and how they could kind of rally together. All right, let's see what happens. I think, again, if Houston just comes out the gate and starts dominating the Lakers in game 1 and really just kind of set a tone, and you feel like the soul is slowly being ripped out from the Lakers' hearts, it's like, all right, if the series ends up going that way, it's like, well, there's just nothing they could do. But if that, like I said, I think if you can just make things interesting, you're not, nobody's saying you got to take a 2-1 series lead. Nobody's no, you got to just hang in the fight for as long as you can and let there be a little bit of pressure the other side. All right, let's take a look here. Laker fans, so now y'all don't care about championships. Make this stuff make sense. Well, Tony, thank you for asking the question. No, I think for the Lakers, for the organization, and for the fan base, the expectation is always a championship, but you also got to be realistic. Are they winning a championship this year? They're not. So am I supposed to pretend like they are, or say that that's it, that's the bar? That bar comes, that's a critical step in the offseason. That's a critical step on what the next move for new ownership is. That's a critical step on the scouting department. Are they loading up in the front office? Who's going to be their next draft pick? Are they trading picks? So I think to get to a championship, that shouldn't be talked about on April 17th if the squad has the squad that they have. But it's what they do in the offseason. So I like being realistic. Every time I hear it's like, it's championship or bust. All right, but we could say that. Is the NBA the way it was 25 years ago? That's kind of not how the NBA works. Lakers have one championship since Dr. Jerry Buss passed. So it's not like, they have created this, oh, well, they win every year. That obviously is not the case. And I don't think the NBA is structured that way anymore. All right, let's get a couple more here. Underdogs have nothing to lose. Makes them the most dangerous. Go Lake Show. Okay. If KD doesn't win this series, he's an absolute fraud. Okay, so I don't think KD is an absolute fraud, but it's a bad look for KD. If I'm being honest with you, I think there's a little bit, and I think for KD, phenomenal individual career, phenomenal. One of the killers in the NBA. If I'm being honest, one of my favorite players to watch over the years, like Kevin Durant in the OKC days, obviously how good he was with Golden State. But KD's got kind of a weird career. The two he got was in Golden State. It was with Clay and Steph and Draymond and Iguodala and a team that already won before him and after him. Left OKC the way he did. I mean, listen, he's phenomenal. KD is amazing, but he's got a weird kind of story in the NBA. For him, I do think it's a bad look if he loses to the Lakers in the first round. All right, let's see what we got here. Obviously, you are realistic and don't about anyone thinking Lakers care about a championship right now doesn't understand Lakers at all or Lakers media. I've said this before. I agree. Their bar is always going to be they want to create an expectation that, hey, we want to put up another banner. But you have to be, when I say you just got to be realistic with it, there's a lot of steps to get there. And like clearly the Lakers, they got some steps that they got to improve if they're actually going to be in that championship conversation down the road. And some of those steps will include what does new ownership do and how long does it take for them to start kind of implementing the type of business that they want to run with the Lakers. All right, let's get one more in here, and then I'm going to get Sammy on here as well. All right, Luke Kennard is a cone defensively in place. Will expose him. Only bring him back on minimum. I think Luke Kennard's doing an excellent job, phenomenal job. I don't know what the price is going to be to keep him here, but I know what the price was to get him here, and you traded Gabe Vincent and literally a second rounder in Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent had done nothing for the Lakers. I think the Kennard thing was, or I think the Kennard pickup was awesome. And I think hopefully he's going to be around for a little bit. All right, let's do this here. Sammy, let's get Sammy into the mix here. Add Sammy to the page. Sammy, you ready to go? What's up, Sammy? Good morning, bro.
The Big Slee.
What's going on?
Doing good, man. Good to see you. We got playoff basketball. Best time of year.
Okay, so you get you're a sports guy, period. Like you love
course.
Yeah, this guy's like addicted. Get any time of the year, what's your favorite sports month of the year? Because you just said this is the best. Is this the best or is there a different time?
Well, okay, let me take that back. Okay. Laker already, basketball.
Already taking one back. You've been on for 30 seconds.
Are you saying I'm not prepared, Alan? Is that what you're insinuating?
You're prepared. Go.
I think the NFL season, of course, NFL playoffs. I think overall, number one. But
I have my month. What's your favorite month? Your favorite sports month of the year? For me, it's a no-brainer.
Okay, but so we're encapsulating. My favorite time of year would be January in terms of the NFL playoffs. My favorite month might be November or December because you have the NBA, you have the NFL winding down, you have every sport going on.
And you're wrong. It's October. October is the
baseball.
Bro, you got the MLB playoffs. Basketball started. NFL is full swing. College has got all these great weekend. I don't think you could beat October.
October's fair. That's actually very valid. I will. A lot of people say March. Like March is great for one weekend. It's great for the first weekend of March Madness, and then it's like okay.
Yeah, I maybe 20 years ago March was like. I just don't think it has it anymore. I don't know what to tell you. March Madness to me is not the same that it used to be. All right, Sammy, we got a playoff game coming up tomorrow. Lakers and the Houston Rockets. You got it. When's your preview coming out today?
Tonight. I'm going to try to definitely up by 8 or 9 p.m.
Okay, so we'll get that up tonight. We'll preview the game. I spent a little bit of time on this. What's the pressure on the Lakers this series? Like, is there, if you had to maybe make a comparison here, like, hey, this player's got more pressure. This coach has more pressure. The team has, break that part down for me, like pressure based off of you got these injuries that are clearly looming against the Lakers. What is that pressure?
I don't think the Lakers overall have a ton of pressure. They have pressure that they need to show up. But I mean, the fact that very little people and Vegas is telling us what? I mean, Houston's almost 8-1 favorite to win the series, 5-1, something like that. I mean, the chances of them winning the series without Luka, without Reaves, maybe they can come back at the end, but the last few days hasn't sound promising with JJ Redick talking about indefinite, not really giving much answers to the media. I don't think there's that much pressure on the Lakers. I do think individual players have pressure, though. DeAndre Ayton, I think, is at the top of that list because this team in the Houston Rockets is one of the best rebounding teams in the league. They average about 49 rebounds a game. That's 8 better than the Lakers. The Lakers have their front court. there's no injuries to the front court. This is Jackson Hayes in DeAndre Ayton. And now I don't think DeAndre Ayton has a future with the Lakers necessarily, but
just real quick. Has Rui ever seen the paint? Has Rui ever been down there?
It just depends. It depends. Though I was getting to him next.
Rui makes a U-turn every time he gets close to the paint. The guy wants nothing to do with the paint.
Nothing to do with the paint. And remember against the Timberwolves last year when they were dropping him to play center at times, and then with LeBron, that was rough. But
yeah, not good.
Ayton, because he can pick up his option, he can come back.
Yep.
Ayton has a lot of pressure, and I see people in the chat saying it. Ayton will fold. I'm not sure I believe in DeAndre Ayton, but if the Lakers are going to be competitive in this series, considering that Luka and Reaves aren't there, they have to dominate the glass, and that's something that Houston's very good at. I also would throw Rui in there. I really would throw, because Rui's the only other guy besides LeBron on this team that can create his own shot. Luke Kennard, you could kind of throw in there, but ideally Luke Kennard is a shooter. I think he's shown us a lot over the last couple of weeks that he can be more of a distributor at the point guard spot, but Rui can get his own buckets. And my thing with Rui and Ayton, if we're seeing them shoot 8 shots a game, Lakers going to get destroyed in this series. Like DeAndre Ayton refuses to take double-digit shots, and I thought with Luka out, I thought with Reaves out, we would see him take on a more aggressive role, but he hasn't. So I think it's really up to those two. Are they going to take the mantle and be aggressive offensively?
So I think we have our answer because I think we already have enough data. So I'll break down both for you. Which one's more likely in this series? That DeAndre Ayton just blows you out of the water and you're like, oh my God, look how great DeAndre Ayton is. Or he was exactly what he was for 82 games.
Exactly what he was for 82 games.
I think my point is that, like, I'm with you that I don't have that much. I know what Ayton needs to do, but it's one thing that somebody needs to do something, and if I'm confident that that person's going to do it. The Rui piece, the problem with Rui, it's like, I mean, he's only going to be able to do so much. So you can't really ask, if Rui gave you 20 points, are you not very happy with a 20-point performance from Rui?
Yes.
Like, can you really expect anything more than that from Rui? So
I think you can because of the injuries and the opportunities he's going to get. It's hard to kill Rui when Luka, Reaves, and LeBron are there because those three are going to eat up a majority of the offense. If I'm Rui Hachimura, I'm looking at this series not only for myself as a player to kind of, it was a lottery pick, has been a solid to good player throughout his career, but hasn't lived up to those expectations. Yeah. There is no excuse why you are not trying to be the number 2 bona fide scorer, because you're going to have the opportunity to, with the lack of depth at the guard spot.
Here's the only thing I'll say about that. Let's just say he's even that. I guess my point is this. If you got 20 from Rui, you shouldn't be asking any more from Rui. Now you got to start asking, Laravia, what are you giving me? Kennard, what's your step? Marcus, Vando, can you get a 6 off the bench with 6 rebounds, right? Like, I think the only way they make this a series against Houston, you literally have to have all of your guys contributing. And so
he has to go white. Right.
If Rui got you 20, awesome. I don't need any more from Rui. And frankly, if I'm talking Ayton, I would say, can I make it realistic for Ayton? Can you get 19-9, 19-8? Like, we don't need these guys, I think, to be excellent. We just need them to be really, really good, like on the high end of their own potential. And then everybody else has got to, obviously contribute. That's the challenge with Luka. Can just clean up so much. It's like
cover up a lot.
Cover up so much. There could be a mess all over the place, but your eyes are just on Luka. So that's you pull that out of the Lakers system. Now you're looking around, you're like, everybody else has got to do something.
I don't know about you, but I know everyone's making so much of Bronny and LeBron talking about it's cool he gets to play with his son, and JJ saying he's gonna be a piece in this series. The guard no one's talking about is Nick Smith Jr. Nick Smith Jr. Now I'm not gonna come on here and go, this guy is some unbelievable.
Is there a reason why they're not talking about him?
I think well, we'll see.
Well, here's what I would love. I would love to come back on Monday and I'm like, damn, Sammy was right about Nick Smith Jr., but I got to see it. I got to see it first, obviously.
And that's fair. Mm-hmm. I just want to say, every time Nick Smith gets into the game, and he needs to get some run because LeBron can obviously score at will. Rui can get his own shot. But outside of the rest of the team, you don't really have any primary ball handlers that can bring and get into a half-court offense. Yeah. And Nick Smith, for the lack of options the Lakers have right now, has a little pop to him. And every time he gets in the game, he had that big game against Charlotte at the beginning of last year, or beginning of this year. I'm blanking on that. But Nick Smith Jr., whenever he's got in, has had some upside. And I think he provides something running the offense that Nick Smith, I think if the Lakers are in this series, we're going to be talking about Nick Smith Jr. possibly playing a lot better than we all give him credit for.
Again, I think that's like, which one's more realistic? He comes through or he isn't really talked about that much this series?
Not talked about a lot. But
I think what you're saying here, it's exactly like this is the situation that they're in. Situations they're in is you have to talk about Nick Smith Jr. having an important series because Reaves is out, because Luka's out. They had one of those guys, to be honest. Like I think if they had Reaves, I give a slight edge to Houston. But like a slight edge. If they had Luka, I think I think it's a 5-game series if they had Luka.
So people are saying in the chat, this is an interesting series because not that you want to be testing guys out in a playoff series, because they are in the playoffs, even though I think everyone's tempering their expectations. I mean, take your first and third best player off a lot of teams in this league, and we'll see how good they are. But it's just a little bit of an audition for future years. Like if I would look at it. If the Lakers are going to go down, and maybe they just don't have the talent to hang with the Houston Rockets, considering the injuries are too much. Hopefully we're all wrong. Hopefully that Luke Kennard and LaRavia and Rui have series of their life and keep this thing in it. But if they're going to go down, I'd like seeing Adu Thero get some run. I'd like seeing Bronny and Nick Smith here.
I like the Thero. I like that piece.
Like, give the kids some run so we see what we have for the future versus going down with kind of just the veterans. And it's like, all right, well, let's just get ready for the summer. Like, I'd rather see that and get them some playoff experience than just running, some of the veteran pieces out there left and right who probably aren't here next year.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think there's value in that. If you're, obviously big picture wise, I think there's some value in that. All right, so we have, let me think here. Where do I want to go with this? I got a Reaves question for you. Let me first set this up. I think it's safe to say you're a Reaves guy. You like Austin Reaves.
Yes, definitely. I get a lot of flack for that, but I am an Austin Reaves guy.
You are an Austin Reaves guy. Basically, like if he goes 6 for 19, you're saying, hey, this guy's he's the next bird. He's the next bird out here. There are some people, and I think you're not, I don't think there are too many like you. I feel like very, very high on Austin Reaves. Tell me what's a perfect number for both sides, for the Lakers and Austin Reaves. Again, just what's a perfect, like what's good for both sides? Because I think Reaves can probably get paid more than the number we'll probably share. But what's a good deal you think for Reaves?
I mean, ideally, they've talked about him taking a hometown discount. And a lot
he didn't play good at the end of the season. He did not.
He didn't.
And the timing of that was not good.
And the Lakers are going to start with that because the Lakers are going to point to, his Minnesota production. They're going to point to Minnesota in the fact that he wasn't good in the series last year. And when I defend Reaves is not immune from criticism.
But your second cousin, or like, what is it? I mean, you guys.
But here's maybe
why so much defense?
My family's from Kansas City, he's from Oklahoma. I don't know what's going on out there.
There you go.
But all I would say is for everyone all the people who are Reaves and Luka can't coexist. Did everyone see what happened when Reaves was hurt for a month? And it was Luka and LeBron and a bunch of guys. And this is not a shot at Luka or LeBron. Luka and LeBron were playing out of their mind. They were playing fantastic, except he never running mate. Luka was scoring 40 a night, and the Lakers were losing games because there was no one to take pressure off him. It felt a lot like, to me, Anthony Edwards in Minnesota in previous years. It's like Anthony Edwards playing like an MVP. Where's the other scoring coming from? Where's the other? So in every time Luka has had success, Western Conference Finals with Jalen Brunson, in the finals with Kyrie Irving. And you could argue where he's at with those kind of players. Kyrie better than Reaves. You argue Brunson at the time of that. Reaves is maybe better. I think
there's a bigger question. I think the bigger question is, can Luka and AR be the top two players on a championship team? There's a very easy answer to this. There's a very easy answer. Like, can Luka and AR, can that be your number one, number two for a championship team? You know the answer to that.
You say I know the answer to that?
Of course, yeah. They can't be.
Hold on.
That can't be your 1-2.
If they are, there's limitations with that.
Okay.
But if you outfit the team like the Dallas Mavericks did, around Kyrie Irving, around Jalen Brunson, knowing that there are two guys who don't play a lot of defense, Jalen Brunson being undersized, Kyrie being undersized.
Yeah.
They had Derek Lively, they had Gafford, they loaded up with front court pieces. You're adding a guy like PJ Washington, tons of wings.
Yeah, I'm going to cut you off one more time. Think about who you have to go through in the Western Conference. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Think about, is OKC, what trajectory is OKC going in right now? What trajectory is San Antonio going? Look at their style of play. Look at the type of players they've built the team around. Athletic, long, this can play both sides of the floor. Like, there's a model in the NBA that the Lakers clearly got to catch up to. I think you literally have to have like a perfect run if it was Luka and I don't believe those can be your top two players to win a championship.
So you would trade him. You wouldn't pay him.
No, I wouldn't. I would keep him. I'd pay him, and I'd give it some time to see, is this thing working or is it not? So
well, that's my thing with people forgetting about them paying Reaves. If they pay Reaves, every team in the league, if they go, this is not working, would take him in a trade. Are you telling me the Boston Celtics wouldn't want Reaves as a third piece with Tatum and Brown playing?
Probably. Can I be honest with you? Probably not. No, I don't think they would want him. I think they already have like the perfect team built around those two guys. I know your point. It's just the Celtics wasn't a good example. The point I'm trying to make, Sammy, more than anything else, is and we'll see what happens, right? Like, the time will come. I was just asking the question. I wasn't asking to justify Austin Reaves, because I think you do keep him, but I think you have to give him the right number. And if I had to,
that's fair.
And if I had to give you a, like, what's perfect for both sides, I think like 30-ish.
Yeah.
If the Lakers were able to get Reaves at that number, but I have a feeling Reaves is going to be more expensive than that. Maybe significantly more expensive.
I just think that regardless of what they pay him, and maybe you're right that the Lakers, because they don't have defenders at the guard spots, are liable, and he can be the second best player. If it doesn't work, so many teams in the league would want him. Maybe teams that do play defense, and my point about Boston,
1,000%.
Just adding him as a scorer, because him as the third option in the league. I mean, how many third options are better in the league than Austin Reaves right now?
And that's what he needs to be in order for the Lakers to win a championship. He can be a part of the team. That can't be your 1-2. Now, so you can if you added I'm gonna make a big up. If they added like a Jaren Jackson Jr. something like that, like, you need a good big. They're not getting him. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah. My question though to people who are like, let's say Reaves wants a max contract. You go, no. What's the next step? Because Luka by himself with a bunch of role players is unfortunately not going to work.
I think they're handicapped. I think they have to pay Reaves. I think they're just trying to negotiate a good deal with him. But I think they're kind of trapped in a way. Like, you you need to have Reaves, and whether you end up flipping him or not, you just wait down the road and see what you do. But that's why I'm hoping he works with them, because I think he has the leverage.
I think he does have leverage because, well,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see if LeBron's back. There was a report this morning that apparently he's seriously considering retirement. I believe it was The Athletic had it. We'll see. We'll see if LeBron comes back. It'd be great to have him on a lower deal, but it's hard to make a judgment on if Reaves can work when, like, people want to point to that Minnesota series, and Reaves did not play well. No one's making excuses for Austin Reaves. He played awful in that series. He was one of the advantages I thought the Lakers had, that they had more scores than Anthony Edwards or than the Minnesota Timberwolves. He didn't play well. But it's also hard for me to sit here and talk about him in the future when that team didn't have a center. That team, that Laker team was so flawed.
But I think you don't have to try to oversell AR. His narrative today, I don't think it was a good end of the season for him. And then he's not going to get a chance to be in the playoffs and right some of his wrongs in the past. But I think that's just kind of part of his story.
Was it not a good end to the season because he didn't mesh well with LeBron being back and Luka? Because if we're talking about going forward, this is Luka and Reaves' team. Those two played excellent together at the start of the year. So LeBron being back, it's never really all worked.
I mean, again, I still think AR has his own responsibility. Okay, I don't want to, just because we got the game coming up tomorrow. I think this is probably a topic for another time. Who do you put on KD? What are you thinking here? What are you thinking on KD?
I think he's got the most pressure of anyone in the playoffs.
Who do you put on him defensively? Who do you put on him?
I mean, Smart's too small. This is where we're gonna see if JJ and Vando can put their grievances aside. Because Vando ideally is the perfect guy to put on Kevin Durant. But I understand you're not having a lot of scoring because Luka and Reaves aren't out there. LeBron can only do so much. I expect LeBron to have a massive series, but we know that there's limited options. That's a concern is, are these guys going to hit shots when LeBron hits them? You have Vando on the floor. We know his limitations offensively. I do think Vando has to be a part of it. I mean, he simply is one of the best defenders on the floor. He's not the best defender for the Lakers. You could argue Marcus Smart. And then I think some combination of LaRavia, Rui's decent defender, but some combination of LaRavia, Smart at times for a size disadvantage, and then Vando. I would go Vando because I think that the best way, because the Rockets are limited offensively. That's the other dirty little secret. They're great. They're a great rebounding team. They're a great defensive team. They are not a good clutch time team.
No,
they're 21st in at the end, and they don't have a point guard. Kevin Durant and Reed Shepherd are having to bring the ball up because of Fred VanVleet being hurt. That's where having Vando take him out of the play immediately and make things hard for him when he crosses half court. We saw the Lakers do that to them in their last two outings. I think Vando has to be the guy, but we'll see if JJ goes in that direction.
Yeah, I was not impressed by the Rockets in the regular season. There was nothing. Not having Fred VanVleet was a killer. And for them, whatever potential they had, they lost a solid 25% of their potential just by losing Fred VanVleet. That was a key player. They almost were better off not having one of their wings over Fred VanVleet. They really lost something big there. So, I think the series, I look at KD and it's all right, how do the Lakers want to play the Houston Rockets? I just got this feeling, if I'm the Rockets, I'm trying to let Şengün eat as much as possible down low. I'm trying to be super aggressive around the basket. If I'm Amen Thompson, I'm taking the ball directly to the basket. The Rockets, I think it works to the Lakers' advantage if they start becoming a perimeter team.
Yeah.
I think, the slower the game is, probably better for the Lakers at times, right? I know sometimes they'll want to push pace just to try to steal some points because they're not going to have as much talent offensively. But the KD piece, I'm just assuming Marcus Smart's going to say, yeah, I'll guard him. I'm going to assume that. And I know that's a big size difference there, but I think all they're trying to do with KD, it's just one way or the other, just try to hope that he has a bad shooting night, because play as good a defense as you can on him, man to man, all that stuff. But kind of KD's success is almost up to KD.
The way the Lakers say in this series, and it's not being talked about a lot, is the Rockets have one of the worst benches in the league. They only play about 8 guys. So this is not a team that's lacking. This is why I was more excited to play Houston than possibly the Timberwolves.
I'm with you on that.
You feel like the Timberwolves, even though some people question their depth, I think they have more depth than the Houston Rockets.
And they're more connected, it feels like.
Yes. And I think if the Lakers are going to hang around, you got to get one of these guys in foul trouble. Like Şengün, and I keep going back to DeAndre Ayton. Şengün and Amen Thompson are liabilities from 3. So the only guys that are really hitting the 3 ball is Kevin Durant and Reed Shepherd. Reed Shepherd feels like a Marcus Smart assignment. Like, do not let him get going from 3, even though he's one of the more underrated players on that team. But
Kennard can do that for you. You could save Marcus Smart for somebody else. I think they could put, they got to put some of their resources in other places, and that's like a perfect Luke Kennard. Make sure this guy doesn't shoot from the outside. Who else is going to know that better than a guy that they play the same type of defense against him?
You feel like, if considering the Lakers are undersized or like not as talented because of this, if you threw out some lineup, like I think Thero, back to the Kevin Durant thing. Now he's a rook, so you don't want to just let him go with him for a while. But
I like the idea. I think Thero is. You've mentioned him a couple of times. I like the idea of using him.
Like it's got to be kind of a collective unit, because if the Lakers get down in games, it's going to probably take Vando out of it. But Vando needs to be a part of this, because considering their lack of depth and the lack of scoring options, because we know Amen Thompson is a great defensive player. He's a decent scorer, but he's not a very good shooter. So this team is very flawed. You could take advantage of it, but it really comes down to, our guys can hit shots in the corner, and we know LeBron is going to get down low and try to get some foul calls. Can Ayton do that? Ayton and Hayes have to be a menace and have Şengün be worrying about defense and not just playing that point center spot.
All right, I'm gonna jump around a little bit. We'll talk a little NBA. So we got playing tournament games coming up a little bit later tonight.
Great game so far.
Yeah, games have been pretty good. And by the way, I would say the game I was most impressed with, the Blazers. How about Portland just going into Phoenix and just grabbing that number 7 spot? I thought that was impressive.
I think also like that Portland game is a little bit of a microcosm. So much has been made of, why are teams tanking? Why are teams? And I give you a lot of credit for this take. You've kind of been like, you blame the teams, but this is how you get good in the NBA.
I know.
Like,
yeah.
Yes, it
sucks you're rewarded for that, but that's kind of how it is.
Like, you look at the Blazers, Scoot Henderson hasn't panned out, but he's a bench piece. Shaedon Sharpe was a former high pick. He's averaging 20 a night. Advia, they drafted. Looks like a potential superstar, and people just haven't given him credit because of that. Donovan Clingan was a first-round pick from UConn. I mean, you see what happens when you kind of develop, right? And I think that's why you've seen such bad tanking in the NBA this year, is you're trying to get a Cam Boozer, a Darren Peterson, a Darius Acuff. This draft is so stacked, and some of these teams in the play-in, like the Charlotte Hornets, like the Portland Trailblazers, you're seeing kind of these small market teams pay off from all these years of tanking.
There is, as I kind of get ready for the first round, probably the series I'm most interested in watching, I think Minnesota and Denver's an interesting matchup. I expect Denver to win, but I think that one will be fun to watch. Spurs Portland, just again, kind of new blood, right? Like I like seeing different teams go at it in the playoffs that we haven't really seen over the last handful of years. So those will be fun to watch. Anybody giving the Thunder a true run for their money, or would you be surprised if there's any series, the entire way? Which I still don't understand why San Antonio wasn't trying to win that last game to make Denver have to play the Thunder.
Yeah.
But anybody got a shot against OKC?
I think the Celtics might beat them, and that makes me sick. I think the Celtics have the perfect blend of two.
I don't disagree with that. That's an interesting one.
2 superstars to know how to close in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You have key pieces like Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Keita, who is from like Utah State, was a draft pick that they've drafted and developed. Like that
was that the dude that the Kings didn't know how to use? Was he in Sacramento?
I believe so. I
heard somebody say that. And if that is the case, that is the least, biggest surprise.
The most expected information.
That the Sacramento Kings didn't know what to do with this guy, and Boston is just flourishing with him.
I think that's a big thing in the playoffs. And I think we saw that in the Warriors-Clipper game. Like the Clippers up 13, they're young. Outside of Kawhi was an abject disaster in that game. But you have Benedict Mathurin and Garland, they got tight. And yet the Warriors, who are not as talented as the Clippers, knew how to close. Horford, Curry, Porzingis. And that's something that I think is not thought about enough when you get to the playoffs. Like when teams are making adjustments, who's the go-to guy at the end of the game? And that's where the Celtics with Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, they have that figured out. I think they could actually beat them. I think that's a really good series. I would say the Nuggets are going to push them. I actually would probably be higher on the Nuggets than the Spurs. It's hard for me to – you can't take much away from that last game that you mentioned about them not trying to win, but it kind of showed you the lack of front court depth behind Wemby. It kind of showed you there's not a lot there for the Spurs. There is not a lot behind Wemby, and that makes me a little nervous against that deep of an Oklahoma City team.
I think a lot of people have some hesitations right now on the Spurs, but they're also ahead of schedule. So, brother, if these guys got into the Western Conference Finals and lost, it's still a good season for them, right? If they made it to if they're in a matchup against Denver that goes 7 games and they lose, I don't think anybody thought San Antonio would be this far ahead. I didn't think they'd be the 2nd seed. I didn't think they'd be kind of like the class. I didn't think they'd make it such a headache for the Thunder during the regular season. So but I think there's a lot of hesitation also on the Spurs because of the lack of experience.
Is that what do you think of this? Do you think it's too critical? I have more faith in Denver because Jokic and Murray, again, have this figured out. I've been here before. Mm-hmm. I think the Spurs are going to have problems, not against Portland, but as they get down the road of Wemby's the first option. The second option, De'Aaron Fox, is Stephon Castle. It's going to be Dylan Harper, Keldon Johnson, these guys who have been here before. Figuring that out on the fly against a team like Denver, Oklahoma City, I don't think works.
If they go on a run, I think I don't know if this is the biggest question mark, but the De'Aaron Fox I've seen in the playoffs in the past, he's a killer. De'Aaron Fox has got a good little cold-blooded in him. I think he kind of likes those moments. If he's the best version of himself, like the De'Aaron Fox we've seen in the playoffs, because a lot of these other guys haven't been there. A lot of these other guys never played in a playoff game. So, we'll see what kind of version of De'Aaron Fox. And I from the games I've seen San Antonio play this year, it feels like there's been a little bit, okay, let's just get to the postseason. They kind of accomplished already whatever they need to accomplish, and now we'll find out if they'll make it happen once again to the playoffs.
You think anyone challenges Boston in the East?
I think Pistons will challenge them, but yeah, my pick out of the East is Boston. It's almost just seems like a no-brainer at this point. But I'm also impressed with how Detroit plays. Detroit has this. We're not gonna, they play hard. And if they got to the Eastern Conference Finals, it'd be an incredible year for the Pistons as well. This is a proper development for them.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference is going to be fun because I'm with you. Boston's feels like the class. Pistons are going to be good, but everyone's kind of penciling in, I think, the Knicks and the Cavs as this kind of quasi Big Four in the East. I think the Hawks and the Raptors could upset both those teams. The Raptors, no one talks about, and Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes. They play excellent branded defense and have multiple guys who can score. And the Atlanta Hawks have been the hottest team in basketball the last month of the season. And it feels like the Knicks can't figure out how to have a second option because Karl Anthony Towns so up and down. You can't really figure out what you're getting from them. And the Knicks,
that'd be phenomenal if we're a couple games into both of those series and they're tied to a piece. Put some pressure on the Cavs, put some pressure on the Knicks. I like it. And this is, so one of the things that I do like in the league, I like when I mentioned a little bit earlier about Portland, new blood. Give me some different teams and players that I can see in the playoffs. Is this guy more clutch in the postseason? Is he not? I like those watching other teams develop.
Right. Even the Charlotte Hornets, if they win tonight, They'll get smacked by Detroit, but I think that'd be a fun series. Like I think
it would be great for them.
LaMelo and some of those guys. Like how do they perform down the stretch of those games? But I'm with you. The new blood. I feel like we get some fun matchups this postseason.
All right. Let's see here. Anything else? I think we covered everything. I'm looking at my checklist and I'm saying, okay, did we hit on everything for Sammy? All right, I think we're good there. So your preview video coming out a little bit later tonight.
Yep.
Let's say, Sam, let's give the people 8 p.m. tonight.
Okay.
8 p.m.
I'm working with you till 6 today.
Oh, you're on the show today?
Yeah,
that's right. John mentioned that yesterday.
Yeah. I get 8 hours of sleep.
You know where you should do it? You should do it from the studio right when we're done. Just crank it out and get it done. You'll have a good background. You'll have good lighting. You have all that. It's great. A 15-minute preview, and it's up.
I got to bring it to the public. I will have it up.
All right, Sammy. Good stuff, brother. Thank you for the chat there. I think we just figured out the whole playoffs for the Lakers. Have a good weekend. I'll see you a little bit later today.
Yep. Later, guys. Thank you, everybody.
All right, Sammy right there. Good work, Sam. Good work. So Sammy's he's part of a show before I do my show down in San Diego. So you guys know I got that 7:60 a.m. sports station in San Diego, 3 to 6 p.m. So Sammy he's part of a show from 12 to 2, and then he's doing his own hour from 2 to 3 as well. So look at him. Look at that guy hustling out there. Okay, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Let me go to some of the supers. Basically, the people that they bought my heart. They purchased my soul. All right, thank you for the super. Austin Reaves. A lot of numbers here. Oh, these are, I'm assuming here by year. So 34 a year, 36 a year, 36. Yeah, they're going to have to pay him. Like, I think at the end of the day, something that Sam and I were talking about a little bit earlier, the question is just going to be, can you get a price that you feel like, hey, that's a good price? It's valuable or it's fair for both sides. But I got a feeling that leverage is sitting in Austin Reeves' side. Let's get on. AR had an advantage matchup versus the Wolves. I think that's what it is. I don't think he had an advantage with them. I think you had a couple of different really. I like Minnesota's defense, and they were structured well. They had length. I don't think that's the type of matchup that Austin Reeves wants to see. I don't think that's the type of guys that Austin Reeves wants to see. Okay, so a couple things here. Let's kind of keep going. We got the play-in tournament coming up a little bit later today as well. So something to keep in mind on that front. So tomorrow, game 1, Lakers and the Houston Rockets. I'll be there, by the way, which I'm looking forward to doing so. I think I'm going up to LA tonight. And I think my plan is my show ends at 6. I'm going to just shoot up to 5, get to Anaheim. Padres are taking on the Angels tonight. So that's like literally on my way. And then I'll shoot the rest of the way back up to Los Angeles. But I'll be at the game tomorrow. I'm curious. I'm very curious about how I want to know the vibe after this first game. Is it a close game, but Houston is just, has more talent? Is it a blowout? Do the Lakers somehow find a way to upset the Rockets in game 1? I'm really curious how game 1 goes, because right now we have nothing to work off of, and you're curious what the tone that's going to come off of game 1. All right, we're going to get into the play-in tournament here in just a second. But let me give a couple shout-outs here real quick. Harris Resort SoCal. People know here, a very, very great partner of the channel. And I got this partnership with AM 570, iHeartRadio Network. And Harris is a part of kind of a bigger deal that we did, so shout out to them. HarrisSoCal.com is the website. So for somebody who's looking for a staycation, consider Harris Resort in the north part of San Diego, up over in the Palomar Mountains. HarrisSoCal.com is the website. HarrisSoCal.com is the website. Had a fun event there last Thursday. What do they got there? What do they got? Hell's Kitchen, Rita's Cantina, lazy river, a swim-up bar. You could bring family. Great option for a staycation. HarrahSoCal.com. Shout out to them for being a partner. All right, let's keep going here. Let's keep moving here. Playing tournament tonight. All right, real quick on the playing tournament. You got 2 games. Charlotte at Orlando. It's kind of funny. The storyline coming out of that Charlotte win was the LaMelo Ball stuff. Eric Spoelstra coming out, obviously his post-game comments on it. They got the Orlando Magic. I think I'll take Orlando, but to be honest with you, I thought Orlando was a lot better than this. Every time I feel like the 2 games Lakers play the Orlando Magic, I thought they were really good. That's not exactly the case. Get that right there. And then the other game, the Warriors and the Phoenix Suns. I'll go Phoenix. I was disappointed by the Phoenix Suns. I thought they were going to be playing a little bit better as well when they had their first playing tournament game. So something to keep in mind in regards to that. All right, let's look at a few other things here. I got a couple of NBA stories I'm going to get into, and then we're going to call it a Friday for some of you guys. For members, we'll do it again at 10. All right, NBA news. Top NBA stories. I saw this. This is kind of interesting. I actually really like the concept of this. The Nuggets and the Pacers set to play in Mexico City next season. I feel like anytime anything is done at in Mexico City with any of the professional sports, that's a good idea. That's a great game. That'd be pretty cool if Lakers had a game in Mexico City. See if they line that up at some point. But that's cool. That's one of the destinations that they're talking about here, Mexico City. Okay, as far as a weekend preview goes, NFL draft's coming up on Thursday, April 23rd. I'm not really going to do anything there. Playoffs have started in the NHL. Obviously, up to you guys if you guys are watching any of the NL. Obviously, baseball is just kind of getting started. Interesting. I think if you're out here in Southern California, I think no surprise the Dodgers doing what they're doing, and then Padres off, honestly, to a phenomenal start. And they started off bad, and now they've won, I think, 8 in a row. So both of the teams in SoCal obviously doing their thing. All right. One other thing to make mention of here. Actually got a couple things to make mention of. And then I'll look at some of the comments. We'll call it a day. One of the things to make mention of here, by the way, weekend preview is presented by Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. So obviously a great partner for us. One of the things that I will say coming into the weekend is finally ready just to get the NBA playoffs back. Playing tournament's been fine. No issues there, but just ready to kind of see some games again. Hornets win and Warriors win. Okay. Draymond versus Brooks is going to be legendary. You're right. That's actually a really fun matchup. That's a fun matchup. Slee Surfliner. I know. Surfliner Amtrak stops right at Angel Stadium. I know. It's a good idea. It's a very, very good idea. I think that's what I'm going to do. Knicks coming out of the East. All right. A little surprised to see that one. I never see that. Smart is our best defender. I agree. The young guns need some run. I will see what to expect. If I give everyone my just quick final thoughts as we get ready for game one, I think the Lakers are going to play tough. I think JJ Redick will have the guys ready. I think they believe that, hey, we can make this a series, and that's all they're going to try to do. And let's see if they can kind of go blow for blow against the Rockets in game one. I'm not that crazy or confident about the Rockets. I've said this before. I don't think anything they're really doing is anything special. So I'll be curious to see how it all, obviously how it all plays out, and if they're able to make it a game after this first game. So we'll see what happens. Okay, I got a member show coming up at 10 a.m., as you guys know. So next week, we got something unique happening next week, and I'll just spend the final minute or so just explaining what exactly I'm doing next week. So next week, I got and I got a super that I got to get into here in a second. Next week, I have a couple of live shows that I'm going to do on AM 570. So basically, the show I'm doing here on YouTube at 8 a.m., I'm going to also be live on AM 570 on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So the day before the morning before the Lakers game, and then the day after the Lakers game, because Lakers got game 2 on Tuesday. And then potentially games 3 and 4. I got a couple other things going on from that perspective as well. So be the first time I'm doing a radio show for, Los Angeles 570 since I left a year and a half ago. So that's going to be pretty cool to do. And obviously, it's basically me taking the YouTube show and putting it on AM 570. So really, it's a compliment to the channel. So something to keep in mind as we go through. But that's what we're going to be doing next week. All right, that's all I got for today. I do have let me get to John Wayne here. Slee, LeBron is very reliant on fast break, cherry picking baskets, and bully ball in the paint against smaller guys. Now he'll be forced to get around defenders who are focused on him. Good luck. It's going to be a challenge. John, I appreciate you sending the message and the 10. Thank you very much for doing so. It's going to be a challenge. I think everybody really knows, it's an incredible challenge for LeBron. Of course it is. It's not ideal. Even if they had all their guys, the roster is not perfect. But now without Luka and without AR, and they could just kind of focus in on LeBron. I think I was mentioning this yesterday. If I'm Houston, I'm letting LeBron get as many buckets as I want. I'm going to still put a really good defender on him and just take my chances on one-on-one. But where I think LeBron would be more dangerous is if he's getting everybody else involved, because somebody's going to need to do it. All right, John, appreciate you, brother. Thank you for doing that. We'll end the show now. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Friday. I'll see you guys tomorrow, post-game show from Crypto. That's the plan. And members, I'll see you at 10 a.m. Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.